than anybody else's trickle-down economics. Huge. Well, the fact is it hasn't worked. It hasn't worked. We created more jobs when my husband was president, 23 million new jobs, and we've now created 15 million new jobs under Barack Obama. That is more than was created under trickle-down economics. So I feel strongly that we can't go backward because we need to build the economy from the middle out and the bottom up, not the top down. Now, don't you think it's also time for women to get equal pay for the work we do? And you know, this is not a woman's issue alone. If you've got a mother or a wife or a daughter or a sister, you want her to have equal pay, don't you? I mean, otherwise your family is being cheated. And you know where else it hurts? If women are not paid equally, and we've got some great examples of that around the country, it hurts them when they go on Social Security. You know, Lilly Ledbetter, the woman you may have heard of, who worked in a factory in Alabama, and she worked her way up until she was one of the managers on the floor. She was the only woman. She worked really hard, and then it was years later, she was like in a break room or somewhere, and she overheard a conversation about what some of her co-managers were going to be spending money on, and she was thinking, now, how can they afford that? And so she went and talked to them, and they told her how much money they made, and she was paid 40% less. So what did that mean to her? Well, it meant her husband, who also worked really hard, it meant that they were kind of cheated. And then her husband died. She's a widow. And now her Social Security is 40% less because she didn't put in enough to get the higher payments. So don't let anybody tell you this is a woman's issue. And when Donald Trump attacks me, says I'm playing the woman's card, you know what? If standing up for equal pay is playing the woman's card, then deal me in. So my friends, we have a lot to do, and it's going to be exciting. I'm very optimistic about what we're going to do together. And I look at this election, and I really do see two very different visions about our country. And I want us to choose a path that is confident and optimistic, because I really believe America's best days are still ahead of us. And I think part of what we have to do is just be clear about the stark difference between our campaign and my opponent's campaign. You know, today he's in Washington, D.C. to open a new luxury hotel. And really, you know, while the hotel may be new, it's the same old story, because once again, and I want you to hear this because this is really important, if you have friends who are thinking of voting for Trump, I want you to tell them that he relied on undocumented workers to make his project cheaper. And most of the products in the rooms were made overseas, and he even sued to get his taxes lowered. But we know he's used undocumented workers, and that's one of the things that he has run his campaign on, about deporting undocumented workers. Well, he's used undocumented workers. He's made his products in foreign countries. He's used Chinese steel instead of American steel. So, you know, you can talk a good game, but let's look at the facts. And the facts show he has stiffed American workers. He has stiffed American businesses. And later today, I'm going to be with celebrity chef Jose Andres, who had the courage to stand up to Trump about his divisive anti-immigrant views by refusing to put his restaurant in Trump's hotel. And also, two more things. I couldn't believe that Trump started tweeting about how the battle for Mosul was already, quote, a total disaster, and that our country was, quote, looking so dumb, basically declaring defeat before the battle had even started. Honestly, this is someone who says he knows more about ISIS than our generals. He is not just wrong, he's dangerously wrong. And the message that is being sent to our American soldiers who are over there advising and helping this action to drive the terrorists out. Imagine what they are hearing from someone who claims he wants to be the next commander-in-chief. Well, my friends, I have a different view, and I want your help. Our bottom line is we need to work for the next 13 days, and here in Florida, voting could not be easier. Please, you can go early vote through Sunday, November 6th. Go to any early voting site in your county. You can go between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. to cast your ballot. In fact, you can go right after this rally to the Lantana Road Branch Library just 3 miles away. And you can go to iwillvote.com to confirm your polling place. Make sure you have a plan to vote. Make sure you bring everybody to vote. Volunteer these last 2 weeks. Help us make calls and knock on doors. Go to HillaryClinton.com to sign up, or take out your phones and text JOIN to 47246. So on January 20th, we're going to have a new president, right? So things are going to change no matter what. The real question is, what kind of change are we going to have? And I don't think most Americans want the dark and divisive change that Donald is offering. Mass deportations to rip apart families, a repeal of gun-free school zones on day one, going back to the days when insurance companies could discriminate against everybody, not just people on the Affordable Care Act exchanges, but every one of us, 170 million of us who get insurance from our employers. Going back to letting Wall Street write its own rules, denying the science of climate change, rolling back marriage equality, reversing a woman's right to make her own health care decisions, the biggest tax breaks ever for those at the top, and then abroad, ripping up our alliances and allowing more countries to get nuclear weapons. Well, that's change, all right, but that is not the change we need. We need a country where every student can afford to go to college, where millions of people are working in good, high-paying jobs, where immigrants come out of the shadows and pay taxes. And listen to this, a half of all undocumented immigrants pay federal income taxes, which means they pay more federal income taxes than Donald Trump has paid for 20 years. And we need a country respected in the world, working with our allies to defeat terrorism and to stop the spread of nuclear weapons. Well, my friends, change is coming, but the choice is yours as to what kind of country we want to be. We need a fairer, stronger America. If you will work with me, if you will vote between now and the time the polls close on November the 8th, we will make the kind of future that we need for ourselves, our kids, and our grandkids. And we will prove once and for all that love trumps hate. Thank you.